Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, Craig here with another great business to discuss in this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Daniel, and he's selling his Amazon FBA business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Daniel. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Craig.
It's great to have you on. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to talking more about your business. But before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of the business. It's an Amazon FBA business in the art and hobbies niches created in April 2019. The average monthly revenue for the business is $30,036, and it makes an average of $13,122 net profit each month. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 55259 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, let's have a look at what's included in the sale. We have the Amazon Seller Central account with 3 SKUs and 2 products, a domain and all site content and files, trademark, SOPs, a Facebook account, supplier contracts and relationship, and 5 new products that are ready to launch. And it's also important to note the inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to active buyers. Okay, Daniel, now let's hear from you. Can you tell us a little about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, for sure. This is actually the first business online that my wife and I run together, actually. So we both come from a background in photography and design, doing some hobby businesses on the side ourselves back in the day. And before leaving my day job to work on the business, I was a software company. So not a ton of background before coming into the space, but I definitely think the photography and design certainly helped with our branding and a lot of aspects of the business. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a new venture for us, or it was a new venture a couple of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting to hear everybody's different backgrounds from all sorts of corporate backgrounds, whether it's engineering, but yeah, photography, there's certainly some applicable skills, product design and stuff like that. So tell me how you came up with the idea to start this business in particular then.
Yeah, I think we came across the idea just kind of randomly, I think. We were looking at different ways to generate passive income, and this kept coming up. I thought, there's no way you could do this at first, right? And as we dug into it more, we realized this is absolutely like a legitimate business venture selling on Amazon. And my wife is actually able to speak Chinese. So we felt we'd have an advantage there coming into it, which has helped. It's been really helpful with supplier relationship building and things like that. So it just kind of naturally came together in the end.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really interesting. So I'm curious as to how it sort of helped you develop the supplier relationships and also how you've sort of built up your supply chain for the business as well.
Yeah. So, just being able to, my wife comes from China. So I think having that cultural knowledge and the language, has helped us to meet or basically work directly with manufacturers and suppliers directly, and build relationships with, using their social media of choice, which is WeChat, which basically dominates the Chinese marketplace, but kind of meeting them a little bit on their terms, being able to talk in the language and the culture and everything, I think naturally helps build relationships. It helps put a little bit more of a face to the business name. And I think it was helpful for us to have a bit of relationship with them, especially during COVID, because again, I think having a little bit of a personal relationship with them really helped us kind of get our orders processed a little bit faster and things like that, and has been really helpful. Like our last order, for example, was produced in 8 days, which is pretty crazy fast. So yeah, it's just overall been really helpful, positive experience from that side. So
excellent. Yeah, that's really interesting. It is certainly an advantage you have there. And so about the sort of order fulfillment process. I see that most of your inventory is stored in FBA fulfillment centers, and you have also used the 3PL. Could you just tell us a little about that?
Yeah. So like to date, like all of our sales, everything has come through Amazon FBA in the US market. So yeah, I would say Amazon has changed things over the last year or so. So that's, caused us to adapt. So, having different warehouses and partners that we work with for storage and things like that and fulfillment outside of Amazon. So that's been a big kind of development for our business. So we recently partnered with a fulfillment partner that can do nationwide 2-day shipping. And the reason we did that is that helps us to diversify off of Amazon. Websites like Walmart and eBay and other marketplaces require you to have your own fulfillment operations. So that allows us to do that very easily and all in kind of one place. And it also, we're planning ahead for this Q4. I think it's going to be really critical for all businesses to have FBM options. So, depending on how long it takes for Amazon to receive inventory and their limits and things like that, I think having a really solid, 2-day shipping network will really help basically edge you out above the competition.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's certainly a huge benefit to have quick shipping, and it's good to see that you're navigating around the Amazon restrictions that are currently being in place. So back to when you start the business, this niches that you're in, the arts and the hobbies niches, was that related to your background, or how come was it that you chose these niches in particular?
No, the niches we chose, the main kind of criteria for us was profitability. Like obviously, right, when you're running a business, making sure we have products that have really high margins. We chose an area that has less competition, which is really important to us. So it's not a sexy niche, it's not trendy, but I actually really like that because it just dissuades, I think, a lot of competition from coming in. But other important things for us were we wanted something that was consumable, that has, repeat buyers. A particular audience in this niche is like really prone to repeat purchases and cross-selling. So we knew that, if we had a good brand, if we left a good impression with people, with our product quality, they're going to come back. And the last thing for sure for us was making sure that there's a lot of product expansion opportunities. So there's a lot of different ways that this brand could be expanded out into totally different product lines that could be cross-sold, upsold, and bundled.
Excellent. Yeah, and about the reputation, it's certainly shown with the high ratings and the amount of high ratings you have on Amazon as well. So, yeah, it certainly sounds true. So how come is it that you're selling the business right now?
Yeah, it was a really hard decision, actually. Especially tough because we actually have 5 new products that literally are arriving at our warehouse this week. They're going to be ready for launch. And it was tough for us because originally we were actually planning to launch those products and obviously factor those into the business's valuation. But, requiring like the trailing 12 months, that means at least another year on the business. Well, we recently had a couple of different opportunities that have come up. So one is actually a software platform, and the other is a brand and product opportunity that has a big gap in the market that we're super passionate about. So selling the business would help us to be able to pursue both of those, which is really what we want to work on. So it was a lot of time sensitivity. One of those businesses is a bit more time sensitive. And yeah, it was a hard decision for sure. We had really long discussions because, we could very likely conservatively double the business with these new products over the next year. But we also see these other opportunities as being really exciting as well. I think to tip the scale, my wife is pregnant. She's due in a couple of months. So we're going to be first-time parents. And I think that was kind of the deciding factor in the end, was just let's be there for this experience, be present, take a short break, and then get to these new ventures.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes total sense. And is there anything you've learned from building this business that you would apply to the other projects?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to look for some kind of gap or improvement that can be made in the market or the product. So we always make sure that there's something unique about the products that we're launching. So there's some kind of unique angle, or there's something that's not obvious that can be improved upon, but that can go a really long way. So I think that's critical. Having a high profit margin, I think, is really important. It really helps you to outmarket your competitors, have more flexibility, and quality products, make sure to test every single shipment, even though there's going to be delays and things like that. It's well worth it to make sure you can retain really strong reviews, because that's kind of the Amazon currency, right? Strong supplier relationships, I think, have been really beneficial, as I was mentioning, and making sure to order always more inventory than you think you need, because the worst thing is to run out of inventory, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, and having those extra warehouses in place will certainly help with that. Was there anything that you tried when growing this business that didn't work out for you?
Yeah, there's one big kind of thing that comes to mind. It's more something we should have done as well, or should have done maybe a little bit differently. We have two main products right now that sell on Amazon. One of them makes up the majority of the sales. The second product we launched could possibly or probably match those sales of our initial product, but we had a huge problem when they arrived to Amazon. For some reason, and we still don't know the reason why, when Amazon received the SKU, they broke it into two ASINs, or two listings. So our initial launch just got totally destroyed. So initial sales were split, reviews were split, our ads for the same product were competing against each other. We couldn't use the early review program. It was kind of a nightmare at that time. And we eventually got ASINs merged together and things like that. But Amazon kind of has this honeymoon period at the beginning. And I should have probably relaunched the product. Knowing what I know now, I definitely would have done that. And that's something I'd probably recommend our buyer to do to maximize the SKU's potential, because the reviews are great, the product is great. It's just, that launch, I think, really, really hindered it at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, that's certainly quite the learning experience. And in terms of your marketing, you mentioned that you do ads. What are the main ways you sort of market their business?
Yeah, it's predominantly organic with PPC to supplement. Amazon is more and more becoming a pay-to-play ecosystem. So, we have the most reviews in our category. We have the highest reviews in our category. We like 15 to 17 Amazon Choice badges, any given week. And that really helps us from like an organic perspective. On the PPC side as well, I think that's important to just drive additional sales and keep your organic listings up and things like that. So pretty simple, to be honest. I wish I probably learned a little bit more on different strategies and stuff, because I know there are other ways to really like boost and enhance sales and stuff. So, I think that if I were to keep running the business, that's something I would definitely look into. We have brand registry, but we're not even using A+ content or videos or have a shop front. And yeah, those are like low hanging fruit that I know would be really easy to kind of improve on.
Yeah, so about that, could you tell us a little about, if you were to keep the business, some of the ways that you would try to grow it?
Yeah, there's a lot, to be honest. I think the first obvious one is we have our 5 products that are ready to launch. Like I said, they're arriving at our warehouse this week, and they're going to be ready for the buyer to launch. And each one of the products has the potential to more than double our revenue. So if even one of them launches well, you have really easy kind of growth spurt ahead. And one of the reasons we're holding off on the launch is because we know that there are sophisticated buyers out there who probably have more specific launch strategies and things like that they'd probably prefer to do themselves. So we thought, we'll hold off so that they can, maximize this however they see fit. Other one is like a really easy variation or expansion would be variations on our products. So there's a couple of variations in here that, the product has proven itself. So it's very easy to create the variations, and those could double the revenue pretty easily. We held off on that, even though it's easier, because we're prioritizing diversifying the product line first. But that would probably be a next step. The other thing was we were looking into Amazon's international marketplaces. So we saw that this would probably increase revenue by like about $260,000 a year with just kind of our main SKU. So that's like 70% increase in growth. Of course, that's a little bit more complicated though, since you need the logistics all set up. You need to make sure you have accounts set up properly for the taxing, especially in the EU marketplace and things like that. But I know you can leverage your existing reviews, which would be helpful in expansion. Another one would be expanding off Amazon to other marketplaces. So this, I think, would be a pretty easy 10% growth, would be to list on like Walmart and eBay and things like that. As I mentioned, we already have the distribution network set up and the 2-day fulfillment nationwide. And I think that's the hardest part. And it's pretty much ready to go for just making the accounts and copying the listings over. I think there's opportunity to go into even like brick and mortar stores, like businesses like Walmart and other large retailers sell our products physically. And I know they like having a good kind of sales history and reviews, which we have, and being a top seller in our category, I think that would be an option. Product expansion. We have a huge list of, I think there was over 20 complementary products for expansion that we have. And we've already vetted and tested some of the products and suppliers. So that's like a pretty easy step as well. And then I think there's always a way to go direct to consumer. So directly on our website, again, that was one of the priorities we had for getting the 2-day nationwide shipping. But the good thing about this is in our niche, there's actually a bit of a barrier to entry in selling direct to consumer. So that's really nice. There's not a lot of players in that space. So I think there's pretty big upside there. There's huge loyalty, capturing emails, things like that. So there's a lot of directions this could go, and depending on how sophisticated and how fast moving like a buyer is, there's huge opportunities. But as we were going through, we're doing one at a time, and the next 5 products was definitely our next step.
Yeah, that's really interesting stuff. And I'm a bit curious. You mentioned the sort of barriers to entry, selling and direct to customer. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think some of it just relies on the number of basically the variations on some of these products that are required. So even though we're launching 5 products, 2 of them I think we have about 30 variations between 2 products. So that kind of variation, the inventory, the planning, the logistics, all of those kinds of things really actually prevent a lot of brands from developing this on their own. And yeah, you might see like one variation on Amazon, but on your own website, to make it, I think, look sophisticated and like a stronger brand, you want to have at least the variations we're coming to market with, because I think that is definitely preventing a lot of people from entering the market.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So about the day-to-day work on this business, can you describe the amount and type of work you do in this business for maintenance?
Yeah, the business is... honestly, it's really low maintenance. From a maintenance perspective, I'd say like maybe we're putting 3 to 5 hours a week at most. We have template email responses for customers. So it's really just like responding to those, checking the listing, and then PPC a little bit, see how the budgets are doing. And then every once in a while, just ordering new inventory, putting an order in with suppliers, or moving inventory from our warehouse to Amazon. So all those things they don't take a lot of time or effort. We have the SOPs for that, so it's pretty easy. The time we put in, we certainly put more time than that in, but that's focused on expansion. So maintenance is really simple. Expansion is, you could put as many hours as you want in a day to push it forward as fast as you want or can.
Absolutely. And what skills or requirements are there for someone who is not familiar with this niche or business model?
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of skills you need. You can see from our background, we come from a very different space, but I think you can apply all kinds of skills to this. Like we're applying our design and photography background a little bit to this. But I would say the skills you need, like a lot of it's taken care of by Amazon, the logistics, fulfillment, payment processing, finding people to buy your products is probably, of course, the hardest part. And Amazon has that. So that takes a lot of the work out of it. The only things, the main things you need to be aware of and to do well would be managing inventory levels, ensuring product quality, becoming knowledgeable on the product and the niche itself, and, what's current in the marketplace, what's happening. I would become more knowledgeable in advertising and PPC. that's like definitely something I'm guilty at. We were able to kind of set and forget our campaigns for a long time, so I didn't become more knowledgeable in that space. So I think that's really important. And I think the good thing is like almost anything can be like outsourced in this business, but I would always recommend making sure you have a good idea of understanding the whole business and how everything works before you do that. But yeah, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely, yeah, very clear. What do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of then?
I think the two risks, we're pretty, what do you call that, risk averse people. The two main risks, I think, like we've identified and we're already trying to address those. So I think like the first one is, I think anyone who's got a fully Amazon business has a fear about having a fully Amazon business because you never know what could happen. So that's one of the reasons we built out the infrastructure on our website to accept payments and things like that, to have our 3PL provider with 2-day shipping. That allows us to really branch out, direct to consumer, Walmart, other marketplaces, even FBM as a backup because of Amazon inventory limits, things like that. So I think having that is really important, but that's always a risk. I mean, they are currently 100% of our sales is through Amazon in the US marketplace. The other one is, I think our main revenue comes from one SKU. And that's, again, one of the reasons that we decided to launch 5 new products in 5 different categories, because each of these can be kind of like a pillar that can branch out into other products and reduce that like potential risk, like the product is stable. It's got great reviews. It's doing really well. But, again, as a risk averse person, there's always that what if in the back of your mind. So I'm always kind of thinking about how to mitigate those things.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, excellent stuff. Overall, then, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Yeah, I think some of the things that would stand out for me as a buyer are like the product reviews and ratings. We have like a 4.6 star product reviews, over 1,700 combined. One of the products has 15 to 17 Amazon Choice badges, any, different depending on the week. We have 1,500 reviews on that product. And the sales have been stable. So I think that's kind of a nice thing that allows you as a buyer to focus on expansion opportunities. I think the other thing that would stand out to me is the growth opportunities. So that's what I would value the most, knowing that there's products ready to go. And if I'm, as a buyer, confident in my launch strategy, like I know that I can double this business or more in the next year and, keep growing it from there. So I think depending on the buyer, depending on how many resources you have, like I said, there's a lot of different avenues that can grow. And if you could do all of those things at once, it would be quite an upside, I think, to the business. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Excellent. So regarding the sale of the business then, would you commit to a non-compete?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And how much support are you willing to offer buyers? Are you going for the standard 30 days of email and Skype support?
I think we extended it actually to 60. I mean, yeah, I think we're pretty open. I mean, we want whoever buys the business to be a success with it. And, I'm happy to share my knowledge and experience and things like that, however I can, for sure.
Excellent. Well, it's great for a buyer to know that they're going to get that extra support and when it comes for them to own the new business. And are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Yeah, I think we'd be open to that for sure. I think we'd be open to a performance-based earnout depending on the buyer because of all of these expansion opportunities. I know that we've been wanting or thinking about ways that we could still potentially capitalize on these new products and all these growth opportunities we have. But of course, we're also open to full cash deals and things like that. We, would never say no to that. But yeah, I think we're open.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share that I might have missed?
No, I think we about covered it. I mean, if you have any other questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
Oh, that's great. Really good interview. Gives some great insights to your business. So thank you very much for your time, Daniel. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 55259. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.